Is our good friend James Norton from the Play Action Strategies and security expert. James, thank you so much for coming in and talking about this again. This has changed and morphed as we have continued this conversation with you. This week now, the new information about the Obama administration, what they did know and what they did not do. From your standpoint, did the Obama administration make this worse by not being more proactive about stopping this when they knew something was up?
You know, I think that the term cyber norms is something we need to really get comfortable with. We don't really have cyber norms. When I say cyber norms, we don't have a based policy as the United States for how do we handle cyber attacks or cyber intrusions. The
way I've heard this described by people is that we do a pretty good job of saying things have happened after the fact.
Sure.
But we're not so good, and we deal with these on a case-by-case basis. That there is no overreaching strategy, no overreaching policy. It's almost like we're trying to put out fires all over the house, and we don't have a fire station to deal with the problem in general.
Yeah, we're absolutely putting the wheels on the bus as we're driving it, to put it a different way.
That's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to start singing songs with my kid. Let's talk about the fact that the president is saying that President Obama said that, you know, he didn't want to do more because he didn't want it to appear that he was meddling in the election. Give us a sense, based on your expertise, how often do we make cybersecurity and security decisions based on what it appears compared to what is in our best security interest?
You know, I think the most famous one that we can talk about is the Stuxnet virus, and that was a virus that was basically sent to Iran to infiltrate the Iranian nuclear devices to kind of take those down. So that would probably be the most offensive opportunity that the U.S. has ever taken in terms of dealing with an adversary. I think at this point, again, what is the, you know, kind of the old nuclear thing was, you know, everybody was an all-hazards approach. If they nuked us, we would nuke them, and that would be it. And I think you're seeing a similar thing in the cyber world where everybody essentially has capability. The U.S. might not talk about it, but we all have capability in terms of dealing with adversaries and vice versa. We all have weaknesses when it comes to cyber. So I think, you know, as we go along here, you know, President Obama obviously dealt with this at the end of his term. I think it's also important to remember that it was the end of his term and that, you know, there was a new president coming in and managing some of these issues and knowing that there was going to be a handoff. The same way that George W. Bush handed it off to him when he was in the middle of two wars and dealing with adversaries and things that were going on there. So I think there's a lot that needs to be really discussed and vetted. The House Armed Services Committee put some language in the NDAA this year about terms of notifying Congress when it comes to cyber offense and cyber activities, because they're really trying to establish what are those norms and what is the policy going forward and how we deal with this. We really don't know. I mean, just yesterday, the UK was attacked in their parliament and they're, you know, with a cyber attack. And how does the UK deal with that?
And let's talk about that, because we know that going back years here in this city, members of Congress, Frank Wolf, former congressman out of Virginia, Chris Smith, who's was current congressman from the state of New Jersey, had reported they had had cyber intrusions into their computers on Capitol Hill. How protected are we against this, and is there anything we can do to stop this other than just complaining about it and telling these other countries not to do it?
Sure. Well, I think cybersecurity opens up a unique issue for the United States in general, where it really is just the individual. It's no longer just the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, or the Marines defending the country at large. It really comes down to the individual, and the individual within the U.S. can actually be targeted. So it's really a lot of individual
It seems like a lot of responsibility.
Is that what's going on here, though, that these countries have given up on the old Cold War way of going after tanks and missiles and things? Now they're going after each other through your data line?
Well, I think intelligence and spying has been something that's a craft that's since the beginning of time. And I think the cyber world has opened up another opportunity for spying and data gathering and gathering information. That's why you see these campaigns being targets of a lot of spying.
So quickly, just about 30 seconds left, we're talking about this individual preparation for cyber attacks. We just had the attack last week here in the region on Scalise, Congressman Scalise. Is there anything that we can do when you talk about individual responsibility and fears that many people really do have about terrorism that's, you know, not behind the computer screen?
You know, I think these individual attacks, these essentially solo suicide attacks that you're seeing in Paris and in London and now, you know, in the U.S. in the last couple of years, these are the soft target attacks that we had worried about in the early 2000s at the stand-up of Homeland Security, and they seem to be here now. So it's really a lot of, again, individual vigilance, being aware of where you are, knowing that you're going to be in large crowds in soft target areas. We have the 4th of July coming up in a couple days. We need to have a lot of vigilance for a lot of people. Certainly the big gatherings are easy targets for bad actors.